And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis. You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of November 26, 2018 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press the record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. We coddle them, spoil them, treat them like royalty. But when it comes to your precious pet, yours is not the only lap of luxury. When I come back, I'll tell you what's in store for Fido.
O'Reilly. Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Fifi, Fido, and Fluffy. Soon your four-legged friends will be riding in style. Yes, Ford Focus owners can purchase a custom car bed for their pets. This mobile condo offers such amenities as an insulated sports bottle for a cool drink of water, integrated pockets for treats and leashes, a foldable bowl for gourmet on the go, and a safety belt. But wait, that's not all. When the fur flies, a built-in air purifier keeps you and your pets breathing easier. Wow, being in the doghouse has a whole new meaning. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Dirty mouths and burping. Yuck. Not acceptable in your children, nor in your car. Now, I'm not stalling. Just wait till I come back, and I'll tell you what price you'll pay for your car's bad behavior.
O'Reilly.
Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Dirty mouths and burping may signal rudeness in humans, but in the automotive world, they cause cars to stall. Here's how. If your engine's mouth is dirty, the engine can't intake adequate air for combustion, causing your car to jerk. In addition, if your exhaust gas recirculator or EGR valve is stuck open, it burps unburned gas fumes back into your engine, causing it to choke. Jerking or choking, either way, quit stalling and take your car to a qualified service shop. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Millennium Icons, Mr. Email, E-Commerce, and E-Dating, and Ms. Power Lunch, Power Workout, and Power Struggle. Now, what happens when Mr. E and Ms. Power get together? A shining example. When I come back.
O'Reilly.
Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A new match made in heaven is stealing the limelight. Developed by PPG Industries, Power Prime E-Coat is a two-step process touted to revolutionize auto finishes. The E in E-Coat stands for electrodeposition, which means that primers are applied by immersing negatively charged vehicle bodies into positively charged coating baths. The result? Shinier surfaces that are chip and corrosion resistant. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Power Prime E-Coat, on a very successful union. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. No-hitters, mid-court shots, and quarterback blitzes all make for a doozy of a game. But did you know doozy originates not in the world of sports, but in the world of automobiles? When I come back, I'll tell you all about it.
O'Reilly.
Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
When something's a real doozy, it's spectacular, larger than life. Just like the car that coined the expression. In the 1920s, the classic Model J Duesenberg, with its long ornamental hood and speed of 125 miles an hour, was considered a standard of excellence. Its name, Duesenberg, was shortened to doozy to describe anything top-notch. The stock market crash of '29 took the high-priced luxury car off the assembly line, but the expression has survived. Now, I hope you have a doozy of a day. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. They say history repeats itself. World War I, World War II, Rocky I, II, III, IV, and V. But when we come back, I'll share with you some automotive history about a certain bug's life.
O'Reilly.
Need auto parts but can't get to a store right now? Head to O'ReillyAuto.com. Buy your parts online and pick them up in any of the 5,000 O'Reilly Auto Parts stores nationwide. No shipping cost, easy returns, and convenient pickup on your schedule. Shop your way at O'ReillyAuto.com. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A Bug's Life could be the autobiography of the VW Beetle, which made history twice. It was originally named KDF Wagon, aptly meaning strength through joy. This odd-shaped little car, brainchild of Dr. Ferdinand Porsche, was designed with the backing of Adolf Hitler, who announced its birth at a Berlin exhibition in 1938. Out of production for almost 20 years, the VW was reborn in 1998. Its popularity with baby boomers and Gen Xers ensures life long into the 21st century. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
What a great program we have lined up for you today. So stick around and ride along with me for the next hour, or the second hour as well, for 2 hours here from the center of the automotive universe. That's right, Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Just consider me your personal car consultant. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by Optima Batteries, featuring 99.99% pure lead. Optima batteries will last up to 3 times longer as traditional flooded batteries. Optima batteries, the ultimate power source. You can learn more at optimabatteries.com. A surprise for you this morning: the 45th Daytona Turkey Run at the Daytona Speedway runs through tomorrow, November 25th. And with us, we're going to have a special guest. You may remember Terry Sabiston, who is the motorsports director for our longtime, our permanent, if there is such a word, affiliate there in Daytona Beach, WNDB News Talk 1150. and Terry has been with us many times. He'll share what it's like to be in the infield with some 6,000 cars, as I understand. We'll get the details when we come back from the break. I also invite you to participate. Hannah will take your calls and put you in the queue at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Write that down and give us a call. When we come back, Terry Sabiston, Daytona, and your calls. Don't touch that dial. Why CarStar? Today's vehicles offer comforts and conveniences never imagined 20 years ago. Backup cameras, entertainment systems, start-stop technology, the list goes on. These technologies help avoid accidents. But what happens after a crash? Growth in electronic vehicle content adds to the collision repair cost and complexity. Damage a side view mirror or paint a bumper, and you may change the trajectory of that sensor. Adaptive headlights are another example. They actually turn the corner with you as you're turning the corner. The price for these headlights can reach $2,000. Now, more than ever, it's important to follow automaker guidelines for vehicle repairs. Don't compromise vehicle safety. CarStar is North America's largest multi-shop operator of independently owned repair facilities. CarStar delivers consistently high-quality repairs and the industry's highest customer satisfaction ratings. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car. Learn more at carstar.com. Time for another edition of Cooling System Q&A brought to you by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. Why is the thermostat so important? Cooling system regulates engine temperature and helps prevent overheating. While it's comprised of several components, the thermostat plays a critical role with efficient cooling system operation. It must regulate coolant flow properly to maintain a specific engine operating temperature in addition to providing quick warm-up. Motorrad's new stainless steel thermal element Ultrastat is unmatched for corrosion resistance. Its revolutionary Reax wax mixture provides quicker reaction time. The Ultrastat also features bilinear valve technology, which prevents thermal shock to cooling system components, gradually increasing coolant flow versus instant maximum flow found in traditional thermostats. The Ultrastat precisely controls engine temperature to ensure the lowest emission standards, maximum fuel efficiency, and terrific interior cabin comfort. The Motorrad Ultrastat line is the perfect thermostat upgrade option with coverage for over 160 million vehicles on the road today. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle loaded or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here. Your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. As I mentioned at the open, the Daytona Turkey Run is open to the public today. Well, actually for some time now through tomorrow, and features more than 6,000 vintage, classic, and custom muscle cars, race cars, trucks. They're all on display and, by the way, for sale too, as I understand, as well as a massive swap meet in which vendors sell and trade hard-to-find auto parts and accessories. I have to say, I have been to a couple of those swap meets, and anything that you could think of that you need, like a wheel lug for a 63 427 Ford or a badge, you can find at these swap meets. So let's go to Daytona from the center of the automotive universe to the motoring, hot rod, high-performance NASCAR, and all things in between center of the automotive universe. Terry Sabiston, it's always great to have you in the house.
it's great to be in the house, and especially when I'm standing. I think I'm just about dead center of Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. And what a gorgeous day here. What a way to spend Thanksgiving. This is like a dream come true for people like me.
Well, you know, the Thanksgiving weather here along the Gulf Coast was fabulous, and I know there on the East Coast in Daytona it was as well. But, you know, just maybe the car gods are shining on Daytona today. You think so, Terry?
I think so, and I think here's the blessing. I just found the 1998 pace car from Daytona International Speedway, the Grand Prix. It's up for sale. This is the one that Dale Earnhardt Sr. came up behind and bumped, and it still has where he bumped it on the left rear corner. You can see where the decal's smeared, where he bumped the pace car. So, boy, man, it doesn't get any better than that, Bobby.
No, I'll tell you. And you know what it's really, it just proves another point that Dale Earnhardt couldn't stand to be behind any car, even the pace car. Really?
Yeah.
So what's it like? Talk about the classics, or what's the most interesting car that you've seen there, if there is a single vehicle?
Well, I thought I found a Superbird, and they are very rare. And it looked mint condition. I got talking to the guy, and it was a 1970 satellite clone converted to a Superbird. But it looks just like the Superbird. It's the same, you know, and that's what was underneath that Superbird, I believe, was, you know, originally probably a Roadrunner or a satellite, something along those lines. But, Bobby, they're all crazy. They're all unusual. I can't describe it. It's overwhelming. There's 65 Mustangs. There's 37 Packards. There's just Camaros. There's a line. I'm looking at a line of Camaros, and then at the end of it is a brand spanking new one. You know, you've got a 65, a 68, a 69, and then in the middle of it there's a Firebird. You know, I got Opals out. I mean, it's funny. You try to figure it out. I saw a couple of Lotuses, identical 2005 Lotuses sitting side by side, bright yellow. It's just one car after another. And you could spend all day out here and not see all these cars. And they're for sale. I'm looking at a 65 Mustang, $25,000 right now.
Wow.
Sitting here in front of me. Beautiful red convertible.
So, Terry, you mentioned the Superbirds. Folks, for those of you who are not familiar with a Superbird, give us the 30,000 foot, the short version of what a Superbird and why.
The Superbird is and truly, I think, the iconic race car. It's got the big, huge wing on the back, a 2-foot wing. The nose comes to a point. The Superbird with a Roadrunner on it was the iconic car of this 1970 season, and Richard Petty, I believe Buddy Baker was racing then, and really did some great runs here at Daytona International Speedway in the Superbird. But the Superbird is just, it's that ultimate race car. It was made just for racing. The manufacturers had to sell 500 of them before they could put them on or manufacture 500 of them, and that's all they made. They're a very limited number of original Superbirds. So to find it, I thought, this is awesome. The guy wanted $49,000 for a clone. The real Superbird goes for anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000.
That's amazing. And folks, so what Terry's saying there is that the manufacturers at that time, and maybe even today, in order to make a car legal to run on the NASCAR track, they have to make 500 cars or you know, build them. And those particular cars, of course, are far and few between and worth a small fortune. And Terry, I have to tell you, I understand that Meachem Auto Auctions is also part of this event.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're set up. They're right there. They have a center area, which also in that same area, we've got the Batcopter, the Bat Cycle, and the Batmobile. Holy hot rods, Batman. What an awesome day.
You're bad. White Diamond is also a sponsor of this event. Are there sponsor tents and Meachem, they have a huge area set up, I imagine, for the auction. And when will the auction take place?
They got the mobile display here. I believe there's not an auction actually here on site. What they figured out is that putting the auction here on site is almost competing with all these guys out here selling their cars. So why would you have an auction while these guys are out here selling their cars at the same time? And so they've got a mobile display that just showing off what they can do. And if you don't sell your car here, you go to them and you let them take it and consign it to them and get them to sell it for you at their next auction.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know, that takes care. It makes a lot of sense.
It really does. You know, I've always wanted to, and I probably never will, but it's on my bucket list to one day maybe take my Porsche to a huge car meet like this and maybe find another vehicle that strikes my fancy and do a trade right there. You know, the title for the green slip trade, you know, as they say. I just think that would really be interesting to go to an event like that. And for all of those folks along in our neck of the woods, and I say along the car clinic neck of the woods, when you think about a car show like this, it's more than just a car show, but you can see anything, and it's a perfect place to introduce young people to the automotive world, which is what we need. We need more young people in the automotive service industry for sure, Terry, but for sure it's so much fun, and it's a family event. Over the top. I've been to many of these events, but I can't say I've been to the turkey run. What else is going on?
I just stumbled upon a group of Datsuns. Check this out, and I'm saying Datsun. It's not Nissan. A 77 Datsun 280Z. You know, beautiful car here. I had one repaint on it, $14,900, one owner. Sitting right next to it, a 75 Datsun 710 Wagon for $6,000. This would be a sweet car for a young guy to have just to get going and started here. $6,000. But here's the really sweet one. Check this out. It's a 16.9 is what they want for it. It's a 280Z, 65,000 miles, no rust, no cracks in the dash. Looks beautiful, looks mint, looks showroom mint with a real, almost a bronze brown paint job. This might be the one, Bobby. I might be looking at this one. This is just, I had a 280 years back, and this is one of my dream cars.
So what else is going on in Daytona? How's the crowd?
The beautiful crowd. Their estimated Thanksgiving was the biggest day they've ever had for Thanksgiving Day here. It was a gorgeous day, and more people came out Thanksgiving Day. You know, we just finished up the racing in Miami with NASCAR. We've got the awards ceremony coming up next week in Vegas. But here's the hot spot in Daytona. We're going to take a deep breath, and that's about it. I believe we got go-karts coming to the track for Christmas. Then we've got the Rolex 24 coming up. Who knows what else is going to sneak in here between now and then. You know, a couple years back, we had the Ferrari Mondiali here. We just had the historic sports car racing a couple weeks ago. There's the Daytona National Speedway is the new hotspot. And we got the magic of lights going on. If you've never seen it, there's 7 locations in North America that are set up with things like this. And you take a ride underneath the new stadium, and they've got over 10 miles of LED lights set up on 10 miles of tubing with just animation and Candyland and the 12 Days of Christmas. So the Daytona National Speedway is a hot spot right now for Thanksgiving. Well, and then the Magic of Lights goes through December 31st. So if you're coming to Daytona for the holidays, you've got to check out the Magic of Lights. And don't forget, we got that little thing called the beach over there.
Oh, really? Really? So I don't know. The only thing you don't have is Bobby Likis right there on site. So maybe next year we'll have to take care of that. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Terry, for the overview and for giving us a detailed report of what's going on. Always great to hear from Daytona, and always great to hear from you, my friend.
Oh, Bobby, always great. Here's a 69 Buick Electric for 19.5. What a sweet-looking ride. Bobby, great to be on with you. Come on out if you can hear me. You need to be here. Bobby, we need to set you up to be here next year. This is a hot place to be. I mean, cars, hot rods, Bobby Likis, nothing goes better together.
Sign me up. Terry Sabiston, Motorsports Director for 1150 News Talk Radio, WNDB. Terry, thank you so much for spending the morning with us. I'll let you go, and you can be our eyes and ears right there from the Daytona International Speedway and the annual Turkey Run.
Thanks a lot, Bobby. I got to go get my root beer float from the fresh ice cream place over here. It's a great day, Bobby. Come on, Daytona International Speedway, the Turkey Run. This is the place to be. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Terry. Well, folks, there you have it. Just doesn't get any better than that. And Terry does such a great job. He and I have actually ridden around the track in not a NASCAR car, but in a very fast sports sedan. We took off from the pit road, and by the time we were in mid of the number one, between 1 and 2 turns, we were running over 100 miles per hour. And you would think that, wow, that's fast because you have to turn left, right? But the slant or the slope of the track is such that you got to run like 50 or 60 or 70 just to stay up there. It's a great time. It's a great day. I'll invite you to participate. If you have a car question or just want to talk cars, I'm your man. 888-227-2546 when I come back.
heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM or absorbent glass mat batteries are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. Short-distance driving means your battery is not fully recharging. AGM batteries are more efficient than traditional flooded batteries when partially charged. They consume less power from the alternator. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more AGM advantages at autobatteries.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
The months between October and February top the list for accidents, damage, and injuries. And while safety technology on today's vehicles is great, it's no match for Mother Nature. CarStar is the authority on winter driving accidents, repairing thousands of vehicles each year damaged in snowy, icy conditions. Here are a few winter driving tips courtesy of CarStar. Check visibility. Add de-icer to your windshield washer fluid. Make sure your wipers are free of ice and all mirrors are clear, and check vehicle lighting. Slow down and stay back. Drop your speed to a safe limit and leave extra distance between your vehicle and the one in front of you. And if your rear wheels skid, take your foot off the accelerator and steer in the direction you want your front wheels to go. If your front wheels skid, take your foot off the gas and shift to neutral. As you skid sideways, the vehicle will slow and traction will return. Find more safety tips at carstar.com. At CarStar, they don't just repair cars, they repair your car.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
Higher, 98.
Higher.
Higher, 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Berryman Products. Your vehicle a little sluggish? Well, experiencing fuel economy that's poor? You can try Berryman B12 Chem Tool, featuring its exclusive HEST or high energy solvent technology. Berryman B12 Chem Tool helps clean your fuel system and can result in higher compression, fewer repairs, and lower operating cost. You can learn more at berrymanproducts.com. Let's take a call from Jim. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding. Good morning.
Hello.
Jim, you're on the air.
Oh, okay. Hey, good morning. Got a Z4 2004 model 2.5, and I get the lean codes and misfires. I've replaced the air. What's the little air device?
Idle air control. You have PCV problems or vacuum intake manifold vacuum leaks. That's a common. That and oil leaks, quite candidly, on BMW products. But what we have found is, let me ask a question. Have you heard any shrill noise?
It runs great. The only thing it won't idle.
Yeah. Well, you have you're out in the wind there, Jim, for your microphone. Anyway, what I would suggest that you do is take a solvent or something like a cleaner. And CRC makes some good stuff, and you can just spritz around with the engine idling. You say it won't idle, but
but will it idle at all, or is
Hello?
Jim, you're out there in the wind, so that's not going to work. Are you better? Where are you now?
I'm so. Go ahead.
So what you need to do is, with the engine idling, even if you have to have someone to keep it up higher than an idle, you spritz some cleaner of some kind or lubricant of some kind around the intake manifold, the throttle body, and vacuum hoses for the PCV, and you'll find a place that will interrupt or affect the performance of the engine, and when you do, you'll have found the false air. You've got false air more than likely going into that engine. Did you hear me?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. You were broken up. I understand it's a vacuum leak. When I turn on the air conditioner, it bumps the RPM up to about 800, 850, and it'll do all right. But if I turn it off, it goes back down to about 600, and that's when it won't idle.
Right. Well, as you know, it does have a vacuum leak, and of course you can spritz around the intake, and you'll find the culprit there. That's a common problem with today's cars, and in fact, we just completed an engine repair this past week, and lo and behold, we had to change the intake manifold because the original manifold had a leak within itself. So that's what I would do, and you should be able to take your next step there. And certainly, that's where your lean code comes from, because the engine's getting false air. Just remember, Jim, that every cubic foot of airflow has to go through the throttle of the engine, because if it doesn't, then it's receiving, like a tracheotomy, it's receiving false air. Hey, thank you for calling, my friend. Good luck to you. Folks, that was an 04 BMW. So if you drive a BMW, what you want to look for in that particular, not necessarily in his Z4, not necessarily in that BMW, but almost in all, for oil leaks. And in some cases, you'll find intake manifolds that are loose, that have loose bolts. We've actually repaired one. We had a gentleman in here, a friend of mine, customer, and longtime customer, that had 104,000 miles on the BMW. And we performed all the services on this car, and it had a little leak of some kind, and we found that the intake manifold bolt had worked loose. And you say, well, gosh, how would that happen? But as it turned out, that was a common problem for that particular year and make and model. Not necessarily that year, make, and model, but that era of BMW automobiles. So if you have a particular problem, or if you say you have a car in the shop and you need advice as to whether or not you should invest a lot of money in repairs or sell the car, and let's just talk about that. Let me share this with you. I say that when you're faced with buying your own car back, and that's really the way we position it here at our service facility for some 47 years now. Let's say that you're faced with a $5,000 or more repair. So you say, well, gosh, I'm not going to spend $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000 on this car because it's not worth but $3,500. Granted, I got it. To you, it's worth more though, because if you went out and bought another car like yours for the $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000, you would not know, and you could not know, even if we performed in your local shop a pre-purchase vehicle inspection. That's an overview. It can't tell you if the engine is going to uses oil. There's no way you can tell that. Obviously, if it's smoking, you know there's a problem. But if the engine doesn't smoke, doesn't mean it doesn't use oil. It could have seized rings or stuck rings and never smoke, and yet it can still use oil. And some engines are prone to use oil. Speaking of BMWs, they're prone to use a little oil anyway. So the bottom line is, when you are faced with spending a lot of money on your car versus buying another used car, just think, if you're familiar with all of the little idiosyncrasies and the service, which you should be on your automobile, and you have one major component like a transmission or a differential or even an engine, should you spend the money and buy your car back and amortize it over the life expectancy of the new component, or should you invest in another used car? Here's the challenge. Let's say you decide to spend a couple of $1,000s more and you buy a used car, but it's still along that same $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $7,000, $8,000 category. How do you know And we can't tell you, no one can tell you whether or not that car is going to have a component that needs to be replaced a month after you buy it or 6 months after you buy it. There's no way that anyone would know that. So with regard to whether or not you spend a lot of money to repair your automobile, and again, you need to spend X amount of money along the way, because when you drive the new off of your car, you have to put new back on it. Now, I know you understand about tires and brakes and those sorts of, and wiper blades. I mean, you know, that's a given. And a headlight burns out, voila, you got to replace it. But I'm talking about like changing the fluids in the transmission, the differential, the power steering. If I were to canvass 1,000 people, 100 people, 10 people, you name it, you pick a figure, that came out of the shopping mall and say, okay, what year car do you drive? And have you ever, do you take care of it? Oh yeah, I changed. You know, has it been a good car? And this is the trick question that I ask. And I didn't design it to be a trick question, but it is. I ask people all the time, has this been a good car? Oh yeah, it's got 168,000 miles and never been in a shop. What? Wait. Oh, it's never. Well, but have you taken care of it? Oh yeah, I change the oil every X thousand miles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whenever it gets around. And what else do you change? Well, I put tires. No. What other fluids do you change? See, the coolant, the oil doesn't go bad, but the additive package wears out. The coolant doesn't go bad, but the additive package wears out, which ruins the coolant. So the pH in the coolant goes above 9, and that means it starts to etch, to eat away at the aluminum parts. Or if it falls below 4 or into the 4s or 3s on a pH level, it starts to rust the cast iron part. So where's the sweet spot? Well, about 8, just like a swimming pool. We've all been in a pool where our eyes burned. Well, that's a pH of about 8, as I understand, for the pool. Is the same, just so happens, for your cooling system. And even if the pH is great in your coolant, there is the electrolysis factor. So you have to measure the voltage. I dare say, of all of those of you who are technically experienced, maybe you're a shop owner or a technician, how many times in the past year have you measured voltage in a cooling system where the cooling system passed the test where we put the little sticks in and check the coolant for the protecting level of freeze point, and then for the boiling point and for the pH level. But how many of us went beyond that and checked the voltage in the coolant? Well, I don't know. I've never heard of voltage in a coolant. Really? That's where electrolysis comes in. And that, if you've ever squeezed the hose of a radiator and felt a crunch on the inside. The hose looks great on the outside. It's nice. It's firm. It's not gooey. It's not mushy. It's not, deteriorated and soft and rubber that has gone gooey, but it crunches on the inside. That's electrolysis, and that etches and it destroys the performance of the coolant, and it destroys radiators and heater cores and what have you. So if you have had to replace a heater core in your vehicle, or if you had to replace a radiator in your vehicle, it was caused by, not because it wore out, it was caused by the coolant that wasn't changed on a regular basis. If you have an engine that has 500,000 miles on it and it still runs the way it did when it was new, that was caused by a consistent changing of oil and coolant and all of the lifebloods of that engine. If you have a power steering system that has 100,000 miles and never had a hose, well, hoses aside, because a hose can burst. There's no maintenance on a hose, particularly. There's a lot of pressure there. But if you have a power steering system that has the original pump on it and the original rack and pinion on it, and it has 100,000 miles, and maybe it's 8 years, 10 years old, it was caused by proper maintenance. And if you haven't given the power steering system its proper maintenance, you're just lucky. What? And to that end, lucky let's look at the other side of that. I have people say, well, what is this? I've got 77, and I have a car just out front of my service shop that we just put an engine in it, a Hemi, an engine, an 05 Chrysler 300 with a 410 plus horsepower Hemi engine that destroyed itself. And it was caused by a valve seat that came out of the aluminum head and disintegrated, and the owner cranked it up at the bank, in the bank parking lot. What's that noise? And it idle rough, and it ran poorly, boop, and it went dead. And that's the last time it ran. And I will tell you, it was caused by an engineering malfunction. And if you look online, not that I promote onlineness, but if you look online, you'll see that there are a lot of Hemis that have lost their lives because of valve seats in that era. And that's just part of what we deal with on a daily basis. And I'll tell you a little more when I come back. Don't touch that dial. We recently sat down with Kate Searlick, Global Product Management Lead with Johnson Controls. Kate talked about the advantages of AGM batteries, noting they outperform traditional flooded batteries when partially charged, a key benefit if your normal driving consists of shorter trips. Let's hear from Kate.
Today's charging systems are not negatively affected by installing an AGM battery, and no modifications are needed for the alternator or the charging system. In fact, an AGM battery actually performs better when partially charged than a standard flooded battery. This means if you're not driving long enough distances to fully charge the battery, an AGM battery more efficiently performs and not consume additional power from the alternator. We were able to validate this in fleet testing we conducted in Las Vegas, where we witnessed AGM batteries providing up to twice the service life of a standard flooded battery.
AGM batteries help meet the electrical demands put on today's vehicles, and Johnson Controls is the world's largest producer of automotive AGM batteries. Learn more at autobatteries.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by Motorrad, your first choice for vehicle thermostats and caps. You can learn more about their products and industry-leading application coverage at motorradusa.com. So I mentioned replacing the new because you drive the new off of your automobile. So how much money is the right amount of money to plan and schedule to spend on your car? And therein lies a sort of an elusive figure, and here's why. let's say that you live in the state of Washington, and some of you live in Texas, and others live in Miami or Daytona. You know, we were just there. We're still right there. And you buy a new car, and let's say it's a luxury car. The owner's manual and maintenance for that automobile is printed and delivered, and it is identical in all three of those locations. So if you live in the state of Washington, the weather and environmental issues that you will have, that car will have, as you well know if you live there, are totally different from those in Daytona Beach or in Texas or in New York. So how can it be then that the same treatment, let's think about medical, how can it be that the same treatment that works for one person with a symptom can work for another person with a symptom? Well, we all know that's ludicrous to even think that way. And yet we all share with people, well, here's what I do. Well, I take zinc on a daily basis because it helps me to stop having any colds or respiratory issues, and it's working for me. Well, that doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But we do know that changing fluids in a car works for all cars. We just don't know when you should do it. So when you go in for your inspection and oil service, and notice I said inspection and oil service. I didn't say oil change, because an oil change should be the last thing on your mind. The inspection under the chassis and the hood should be the first thing on your mind. That's what's important. Oh, and by the way, while you're there, change the oil and filter. But to open a hood and have someone underneath and drain the oil and put the plug back in, put a filter on it, and put the oil in it, close the hood and leave, is not servicing your car. It's satisfying that, got to change the oil and filter because I got to go. It's satisfying that guilt trip that owners have because it's way past time to change oil and filter. So if you're one of those, which I suspect there are many out there, because that's my business, and I've been in that business for 47 years, if the shoe fits. So how do you know what's the right thing to do? Well, you have to find someone that you trust, a service shop, whether that's an independent or a dealership or a chain store, it doesn't matter. It just matters to you, and it matters a lot to the safety of your automobile. So you take your car in for the inspection with an oil change, and during that inspection time, that person will find things that are leaking or worn or cracked or soft or hard or whatever on your automobile, even if it's something so simple as a cabin air filter. And if you think a cabin air filter is not important, let me tell you something. I have seen cabin air filters that were so raunchy that I couldn't stand to touch them, much less drive around in a car with them. You would be shocked at what we see in the industry because they're out of sight, they're out of mind, and you just don't know. So, you know, and I think therein lies why this program is important, and it's important to me and should be to you. It will be when you have a car problem. So it's important to know those things. And I too have some shortcomings. In other words, how often should I change the water filter in my refrigerator? I mean, really? I can taste no difference in the water that comes out of my refrigerator with a brand new filter than I can with a filter that's been in there for 6 months. And it's been about 6 months since I've changed my filter. But I know I should do it. I haven't done my homework to determine why. And for you, it's so easy to put the key in and turn and put gas in and go that you are not necessarily interested in doing your homework for your car until it breaks. And then there's this question, well, what's wrong with my car? How long will it take to fix it, and how much will it cost? I mean, those are the three questions. Another question should be, what caused the problem? What caused my power steering to go out? What caused, in the case of this Chrysler Hemi that's just outside the door that we had to replace the engine this week, last 2 weeks actually, it was a tough job. There's so many things to swap over. on the remanufactured engine that we installed in that vehicle. So numerous, I wouldn't have time in 2 hours to tell you all that we have done to that automobile, not to replace the engine, but to restore the vehicle to a known, roadworthy, as new, as almost new condition. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means that while we put the engine in, we put the motor mount was bad. We had to put a motor mount. Well, that's not part of it. No, it wasn't. Also, we had to replace the intake manifold. Now, there's nothing that moves in an intake manifold, not in this one. There are some intake manifolds that have dual runners and blades and what have you, so you have torque at low RPM and high RPM. But in this case, this is a standard Bakelite, or plastic, as you call it, intake manifold, some $350 worth. And it didn't break, and it wasn't broken. But make no mistake about it, the manufacturer of the engine, the remanufacturer of the engine, said if this new engine fails due to a piece of debris that comes out of the old manifold, it is not covered under the warranty. So rather than to spend 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever, because you can't put it in a vat, it's a plastic, rather than to spend unknown amount of hours cleaning the intake manifold and having one part of that stellite valve seat that caused this engine to self-destruct to be lodged in there, only to when it heated up and vibrated some 2,000 miles down the road from now with this new engine that we put in, this remanufactured engine, and causing a problem, I elected to replace the manifold with a new one. And it was no-brainer, something we didn't even think about. But the price that we quoted on the engine did not include $350 for an intake manifold, because we didn't have any idea. I mean, we knew that it was dirty. We knew that we'd have to clean it because it's an old part. You swap it over. But we didn't know that this manufacturer said, if a note in big red letters, you change this, because if anything comes out of the old one, this engine's not covered. So we opted to spend a little more money to make the large investment long worthwhile, because we're looking at 3 years or 100,000 miles on the engine. So all that being said, when you take your car in for a service, just remember that it is the inspection that is performed that is ultra important, because that's another set of eyes, and hopefully you'll use and visit a shop that has ASE certified, trained technicians that have experience and know the difference between a good firm radiator hose and one that's good and firm but yet crunchy when you squeeze it, knows the difference. And that's experience and education and training and all those sorts of things. So you'll depend on them to help you enjoy a longer life of your automobile. And that's what's really important, because that's a big investment. It's huge. By the way, I've mentioned, and I meant to do this earlier in today's program, but so forgive me. I mentioned Pensacola's newest fine dining restaurant, The District, here on Car Clinic before. It's located just across the street from the world-renowned Seville Quarter. You may have heard of that if you've ever visited our fair city. The District serves the best steaks and shrimp and seafood and more. Upstairs, there's a beautiful bar and lounging room, and there are multiple individual seating areas where you can enjoy company with family and friends, and also there's a separate private dining for company or special events. The District was the brainchild of my good friend Wilmer Mitchell, and Chef Josh Warner brings more than 20 years culinary experience to your table. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Gil Carmichael, General Manager, who brings his style of management, which fosters teamwork and goal setting and accountability to the organization, helping make the District a success from day one. And I have it on authority, folks, that the District is now open for lunch Tuesday through Friday. So if you haven't been there, make your holiday reservation soon and enjoy delicious food and great service at downtown Pensacola's newest steakhouse, The District. I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. So I have information here about autonomous cars. And we've heard pros and cons and goods and bads and uglies and all about Elon Musk and Tesla. Make no mistake, he certainly has reinvented, if there's such a word in the automotive industry, that ride, that EV. And Nissan's Leaf, I spoke with a gentleman just last night who drives the Leaf, and he just loves the car. He loves it because it works. And there's no range anxiety, and he's environmentally conscious. There's no question about that. But our friend Stan sent me this report several months ago, and I've had it, so I want to share it with you. Self-driving car levels 0 to 5. So just what does level 5 autonomous car mean? Well, there are no two automated driving technologies that are exactly alike, folks. So the SAE, that's the Society of Automotive Engineers, International Standard J3016, defines 6 levels of automation for automakers, suppliers, and policymakers to use to classify a system's sophistication. And I won't get into the details, but I want to tell you, level 0, no automation. Well, we know what that is. Yeah, it's none. The driver involvement. The human at the wheel steers, brakes, accelerates, and negotiates traffic, like driving a 67 Porsche 911 or a 218 Kia Rio. I think that's unusual that they should, in this particular report, compare those two automobiles, but nonetheless, they're driver cars. No automation. That's level 0. Level 1 is the driver assistance. So the system capability, under certain conditions, the car controls either the steering or the vehicle's speed, but not both simultaneously. The driver performs all other aspects of driving. Level 2, partial automation. See, now we're getting into how much of the automation is in this car. The system capability of the car. The car can steer, accelerate, and brake in certain circumstances. The driver involvement, tactical maneuvers such as responding to traffic signals or changing lanes, are still the driver's responsibility, as like scanning for hazards. The driver may have to keep a hand on the wheel as a proxy for paying attention. Examples: an Audi traffic jam assist, Cadillac Super Cruise, Mercedes-Benz driver assist, Tesla autopilot, and Volvo pilot assist. Level 3. This is really interesting. A level 3 EV, well, not EV, autonomous vehicle. Conditional automation, system capability in the right conditions. The car can manage most aspects of driving, including monitoring the environment. The system prompts the driver to intervene when it encounters a scenario that it can't navigate. Driver involvement. The driver must be available to take over at any time. An example, an Audi traffic jam pilot. That's the name of their program in their car. Level 4, high automation, system capability. The car can operate without human input or oversight, but only under select conditions defined by factors such as road type or geographical area. Driver involvement. In a shared car, restricted to a defined area, there may not be any, but in a privately owned level 4 car, the driver might manage all driving duties on surface streets that become a passenger because the car enters a highway. For example, Google's now defunct Firefly Pod Car Prototype. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it has neither pedals nor a steering wheel and was restricted to a top speed of 25 miles per hour. I'm sure that's defined in local areas. Level 5, full automation, system capability. The driverless car can operate on any road and in any condition a human driver could negotiate. Think about that. The driver involvement, entering a destination. Plug in your coordinates. Example, well, I don't have an example, but Waymo, formerly Google's driverless car project, is now using a fleet of 600 Chrysler Pacifica hybrids to develop its level 5 tech for production. So there you have it. That's the level 6s, all level from 0 to level 5 of automation. And a special thanks to my friend Stan Adams, who is a longtime listener, a Car Clinic customer, for sending me this information. I want to share with you, I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving. We want to thank again Terry Sabiston from Daytona Beach for the turkey run down there. And thank you for tuning in. I hope that I've helped you to better understand the car that you drive. And tune in next week anytime, 10 till noon Eastern Time. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Entertainment, GPS, heated seats, backup cameras, and start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's vehicles. AGM or absorbent glass mat batteries are up to the challenge. They're precision engineered to offer the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. AGM Battery Advantage is robust design. With high compression cell design and glass mat separators, AGM batteries are built to excel in the most demanding conditions. AGM, the better battery for today's vehicles. Learn more about AGM advantages at autobatteries.com. At CarStar, we repair hundreds of different makes and models, but the name on the car isn't nearly as important as the name of the person who owns it. Because of CarStar, we don't just repair cars, we repair your car. There's only one like it in the world, and our expert technicians treat it that way. If you're ever in need of collision or storm damage repair, look for or ask your insurance company about the nearest CarStar, the auto body repair center with a nationwide guarantee. Check it out, carstar.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Ride along with us this hour and we'll talk cars. I'll share information with you that you'd be hard-pressed to find anywhere. But mainly, my goal today is to help you, to educate you with regard to the nature of the vehicle that you drive, whether that be a diesel, an engine, which are really healthy, high-performance engines that have a lot of grunt. And we say grunt in the industry, which means a lot of torque, which that's why they're used for towing, no doubt. And also, with regard to gasoline engines, you know, maybe if you're going to buy a new car or you're thinking about buying another car, what engine is right for you? Well, what purpose do you have with the car? What's your main driving habit for that automobile, and it's your main use? And of course, there's budget that has to come in mind, all those sorts of things. Now, let's say you're not going to buy a new car, you've got an old car, and you're going to keep it and fix it up. That's where I can really help you, because I can help you make an educated decision. You still have to make the decision about the repair, but I can help you understand the shortcomings and the good things about repair. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part today by K-Seal, the one-step permanent multi-purpose system for coolant leak repair, including head gaskets, engine blocks, water pumps, and radiators. You can learn more at kseal.com. That's kseal.com. This car repair spotlight is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Folks, this week we had an 05 Chrysler 300 Hemi towed into the shop with a terribly noisy engine, and it just barely ran. We removed the spark plugs and used a borescope to look into the cylinders, immediately determined it had a damaged piston and cylinder head. After engine teardown, we determined a valve seat had fallen out of the head and destroyed the engine. Seems that's a common problem with older Hemi engines. We called O'Reilly Auto Parts Professional and decided on their Power Torque Reman engine with the 3-year limited warranty. Given the overall great condition of this car and the affordable cost of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Power Torque engine, it made sense to repair the car versus buying a new one. The Power Torque Hemi ran is new, and we were able to restore the car within our customer's budget. That's why our first call for parts is O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Car repairs get expensive, and most of us don't have the money for them. That's where brands like K-Seal can really be a lifesaver. For example, heater core leaks are an expensive repair and can cost up to $1,000. These sorts of leaks often happen on vehicles that really aren't worth the price of the repair. Your choice is to spend the money or junk the car. Now, there's a third option, K-Seal. Older sealers use sodium silicate, and while it may stop the leak, it may also clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology that's designed to repair leaking heater cores without clogging. It's a simple repair. Just shake the container, mix the contents completely, add K-Seal to the radiator directly when the vehicle is cool, and then drive the car until the leak is sealed. Important to remember that when working on a cooling system, never remove a radiator cap while the vehicle's hot. Pressure and heat can be dangerous. Avoid a coolant leak casualty? Try K-Seal. Find K-Seal at automotive retailers everywhere and get more information at kseal.com. That's kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And we'll get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Hannah will take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. Good news, gas prices are down. Bad news, well, they're down from last week. The bad news, they're up from the same time last year. In fact, in 9 of the 10 regions of the United States, their price of gasoline is up. anywhere as much as 36 cents, actually 37 cents on the West Coast, less California. So we're looking at $2.61 national average for unleaded regular grade. That's not a premium grade, it's regular grade, 87 octane. You ever think about what octane means and why? Why is that a factor? Has to do with, think of explosives. You know, how much pressure can a liquid take and heat before it self-ignites? And that's really the anti-knock, AKI, property, the index is called, the anti-knock index of octane. Not to get technical and all that, but, and then should you, this is an old belief, old wives' tale, I guess. No, not really an old wives' tale. It's just an old belief from wannabe car guy tale. Yeah, there you go, wannabe technician tales. See, should you put a tank full of premium fuel in your vehicle that is manufactured and designed to run a regular grade fuel every month or every third tank or every so often or whenever the mood strikes you? And is there a benefit to that? Well, the answer is no, because all you're doing is possibly creating a cold start issue. Why a cold start? Because it has been found that, and it's a fact, that the high octane premium fuel can withstand more heat and more pressure than low octane. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So what does that have to do with cold starts? Well, in the cold, your car that's designed and formulated to run on low octane fuel doesn't have the pressure to ignite and burn all of the premium fuel. And that condition is really exacerbated in colder weather. So you can take a perfectly healthy, good running automobile, say a used Toyota, those are usually healthy, good running automobiles. You can take a car like that and put premium fuel in it and think you're doing a good job, and then the cold weather comes along, which we certainly have, and voila, it doesn't crank immediately as fast as it did, and it backing out of the driveway. It seems to stumble and hesitate and what have you. Now, the good news is that when an engine is cold, the computer has a preset tune, a preset air-fuel ratio. And only when the oxygen sensor heats up to 600 degrees will the engine's computer take over and tune that engine for you. And that's called open loop or closed loop. Open loop means that the oxygen sensor has not heated up yet, and so the engine doesn't really get adjusted when you first crank it up and drive it out of the driveway. So that was a problem early on. So what the manufacturers did, and they added a heater to the oxygen sensor. So a regular oxygen sensor that creates its own voltage using osmosis, it creates its own voltage, has to reach 600 degrees before it comes online. So they took a cigarette lighter element, for lack of a better description, and they wired it into the oxygen sensor so that when you turn the key on, you fire the engine, that O2 sensor is automatically heated up until it reaches 600 degrees and stays and maintains 600 degrees so it can do its thing. And that's what's called closed loop. So what that means is that during that open loop time with your automobile, it is running on a fixed recipe, a fixed air-fuel ratio. And as such, that fixed ratio may work well with low-octane gasoline like it was designed to run in a 75-degree ambient temp. But if it's 30 degrees and you've got this high-octane fuel that is slower burning and can withstand more pressure before it is ready for ignition or ready to flash off, then you can create a problem. So you see, a lot of those things, I say, but a lot of those idiosyncrasies and technical facts do affect your car, whether you drive a brand new automobile or a car that has 50,000 miles on it or 60,000 miles. And what you should do, I can't tell you what you should do, what I suggest that you do is to monitor a few things in your automobile that is really easy for you to do, and let me share those things with you. When you're in the quiet of your garage or your carport or wherever you park your car, and you get in your car in the morning, and it's called an overnight stand, where the vehicle's been parked overnight and nothing happens. So it's all the metal and all the seats and everything. It's all one temperature, more or less. So you first fire the engine. Listen to the starter motor. Whoever listens to a starter? Well, I do every time I start a car. Well, you should. And here's what you want to hear. Run, run. And it just fires right off, jumps to life. The engine does. But if you hear a run, 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 then that's a little longer of the run, run, which is the cranking of the engine. See, an engine doesn't start. An engine must be cranked in order to start. Start, it means it comes to life and runs without you holding the key in the crank mode. Crank means you hold the key in the crank mode, and the starter takes battery voltage and turns the motor over. So during the cranking, you want to listen to that sound. And why? Because your battery, the day that it goes dead and leaves you stranded, it would have given you a sign or two. Now, this is not verbatim, because there's a possibility that the battery just goes bad and it cranked that fine that morning and then it didn't crank that afternoon. But more than likely, in my years of experience, I've seen that batteries will give you a forewarning, and they'll have a little and you say, "Oh, what is that?" But you don't think about it because it started, but it scared you just a little bit. It made you pause just a little, like, is my car going to start? But then it already started before you had the presence of mind to think about it. Those are symptoms that you can tell your service provider or yourself as a warning that there's something that's not quite right. Because whenever a glitch happens, there's a reason for that glitch to happen. Finding that glitch is our job in the service industry, and it's not always that simple, because that glitch may occur with you once every third Tuesday at 50 degrees ambient if it was raining. I'm not being facetious, but the bottom line is, the only thing given is a tire that's flat needs air, and it either leaks from the wheel or the valve stem or the rubber tire. I mean, that's just a fact. So that's a pretty easy fix. But to find and cure a glitch in a car that's erratic, that can over time make the check engine light come on. And I say over time because just know this: no matter what you drive, if that check engine light came on every time there was a glitch, it would be on 24/7, literally. And so the computer has to recognize not one sneeze and not three sneezes, but a half a dozen glitches that occur over a certain period of time and a certain length of glitch. So what does that mean? Well, it means you got a bad, what does it mean? Let me give an example. Ford V8 coils, common problem. So you got a misfire, and you don't really feel it, but the engine knows it, and pretty soon it gets, and then finally it reaches a count. And let's just say, how many times does the cylinder have to misfire before the computer throws the light on? Well, in a Chrysler, not many. In a Ford, as many as 5,000, 6,000 or more times, because Ford is very forgiving in its programming. But when it reaches a certain threshold and it has a cylinder or cylinders that have misfired X thousands of times, the light comes on and says, I need help. And that's when you go to a shop. So don't be alarmed if the light is on. Just be alarmed if the light's flashing. That's bad. And when I come back, I'll take your calls at 888-227-2546. 888 Car Clinic. I'm Bobby Likis. Stay tuned. This Engine Care Spotlight is brought to you by Walker Products, a leading manufacturer of quality fuel system components and engine sensors. Today's vehicles are being pushed to new heights with increased fuel economy and fewer tailpipe emissions, which has created the need for a smarter and more sophisticated exhaust after-treatment system, featuring an array of sensors designed to help monitor and control the different aspects of vehicle operation and health. The EGT, or exhaust gas temperature sensor, plays a major role in multiple processes, and it's critical that the EGT is performing within their limits. But not all EGT sensors are created equal. Housing styles and materials vary, in addition to resistance types and temperature ratings. It's imperative that a consumer replace their EGT sensor with a correct OEM factory-style sensor. Walker Products has been supplying the automotive aftermarket since 1946 and manufactures all of its EGTs using only OEM-based sensors. Need a new sensor? Walker Products offers OE quality at aftermarket prices. Drive to walkerproducts.com. Berryman Products is celebrating their 100th anniversary, providing innovative products to the automotive aftermarket, like Berryman Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner that helps remove gum, varnish, fuel residue, and other harmful deposits from carburetor parts and throttle bodies without heat, aeration, or agitation. Berryman Chem Dip carburetor parts cleaner is safe to use with most plastic and metal carburetor and throttle body parts, including steel and aluminum alloys. Learn more at berrymanproducts.com.
What 100-year-old automotive company makes dozens of products to extend your vehicle's life and improve its performance?
Let me see.
Which company uses high-energy solvent technology, or HEST?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What company introduced B12 Chem Tool over 40 years ago? Still the best fuel system cleaner on the market?
Oh, don't tell me it's
Berryman Automotive Products. Correct. Berryman Automotive Products has lubricants, cleaners, solvents, hundreds of solutions, and every product all American-made since 1918. You'll find Berryman Automotive Products at AutoZone, Pep Boys, and Walmart. Now, why would you buy anything else?
You sure ask a lot of questions.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you for tuning in, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you in part by Super Chips and the new Flash Pack F5 performance tuners. You can add horsepower in minutes without even turning a wrench. Drive to superchips.com for all the information. And as I mentioned earlier with regard to low-octane fuel and high-octane fuel, when you tune your vehicle, which you can do, which is phenomenal when you think about it. Here's a vehicle that is controlled by an onboard computer, and you're going to change the program in the computer. Super Chips enables you to do that with their tuner. And the F5 is a fantastic unit. So you plug it into your data port, which is all cars have. They're the same since OBD2 or 1996 by law. And you plug that unit in, you download, which is by pushing the button. It's intuitive, really easy. You download the factory tune so that you have that. And then you answer a few questions like, did you change the tire size? Did you change the differential gear? Do you wish to run a high-performance fuel? When I say a high-performance fuel, a premium fuel. And if you answer positive to all of those, then you can effectively change the horsepower of your engine at the push of a button. And if you think that's not cool, you have to really realize if you could do that, it's like voice command almost with a touch of a button. It's really, really cool. I've tried it. I use the product. It works. And you can find more information to yourself at superchips.com. Hannah will take your calls now at 888 Car Clinic. If you tuned in, you're riding along. I've talked about octane. I've talked about the lifebloods of your vehicle. I've shared with you some things that you need I believe, need to know with regard to maintaining your automobile. Tires. I hesitate to get into tires because I have love-hate relationships with tire brands. The brand on my vehicle I don't like, but I love the performance I love the quietness of the tire. It is so quiet that I put up with some flat spotting. And you know what flat spotting is? Fabio, do you know what flat spotting is on a tire?
Is it where it sits for a while?
Yep, exactly.
Because I experienced that.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, I experienced that on my vehicle. And the strange thing, there are times where with the same day or the next day, you have 2 days back to back, and one morning the tire is whoop, 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 whoop. I mean, it's just like you pull up to a red light and it's like a bucking horse, almost. Maybe not that bad, but certainly noticeable, as you know. Because now Fabio's not a car guy, so for him to know flat spot it's pretty obvious that he's felt a flat spot. On my vehicle, my tires are bad to flat spot, and yet after I drive the car for 3-4 miles, 5 miles, that flat spot's gone. So that is the construction of the tire, the cord that's used to hold all the rubber pieces together, and the integrity of the shape of the tire and what have you. And it sits in it much like a belt on my waist, that when you take your belt off, you see the imprint. Well, that's what happens with a tire. So that being said, not all tires are prone to flat spot, although any tire can have a flat spot. So when you pick your tire, just like buying an automobile, you can buy a high-performance car and you got all the bells and whistles and enjoyment and hot rodding that you like, but you pay for it, well, at one time you paid for it dearly with gas mileage or reduction in the MPG. Not so today. And the reason not so today is because we have multi-speed transmissions. Ford, my car I drive is 8-speed, and I love it. You drive that car from dead stop under normal acceleration, normal being to keep up with traffic. You're already into 5th gear before a half a block. So that's a lot of shifting. I remember when cars had the Power Glide, Chevrolet had 2 speeds, and then other transmissions had 3 speeds, and then 4 speeds, and then 4-speed overdrive. And then, folks, here's a neat way to do the math. And what is all this about? Why so many gears? Because an engine performs better at a certain sweet spot. My jogging speed is certainly not the same, and I'm 5'7.5", would be certainly not the same as a 6'5" person who is just kind of putting one leg in front of the other, and I'm doing the best I can to keep up. He's comfortable, and I'm running. So, short legs, like 4-cylinder engines have short legs. What does that mean? Well, it means they don't have the torque that, without a supercharger or a turbocharger, that a V6 or a V8 engine has. So as a result, those engines perform better, and the car that you drive today performs better and gets better MPG if you have multiple speeds of transmission. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 8 speeds, and now Ford in their vehicle, their F-150, have 10 speeds. How can you possibly use 10 speeds of, well, you do so on a bicycle, and it all has to do with the speed that you'd like to go and the topography, the terrain, and what you have to deal with regard to pedaling power. It's all about your pedaling power. It's the same thing in an engine. An engine has its own little sweet spot for its pedaling power. And what is so interesting about that to me is that the manufacturers automatically control which gear is best for the load of the car, the speed, and the driver demand. Driver demand. Remember that. That's a big deal. Next time you go into a service shop, say, you know, I know that my car reacts to driver demands. And you'll see a look on a service desk writer, service writer, or service desk person. You'll see a look on their face like, oh, who's this person been talking to? How do you know about driver demands? And a driver demand is exactly that. You can tune a station. You can turn a volume up or down. That's what you demand, up, down. Well, same thing with a car. You, depending on how firm and how far you push and how fast the accelerator pedal is the response that you get from the computer. That's called driver demand, driver input. I mean, it's really simple. It's not simple how it works, but it's simple in its mechanical description. So the driver demand then tells the computer where your foot is relevant to or relative to the engine speed and your wish. And then it shifts the transmission. So let's say you have a 5-speed transmission, and that 5-speed transmission was maybe 10 years old, and it really is a 4-speed with overdrive. So now you got 5 speeds. You got 5 different gear ratios. Well, what if, just what if you decided, or you as a manufacturer decided that you wanted to make those 5 gears and space those 5 gears farther apart? Which, you know, well, what does that mean? Well, if you go from first to second, there's not much of a change, but there's certainly enough of a change that it works for the RPM and speed desired, road speed. But what if you went from first to fourth? It's called skip shifting. If you did, you would throw an excessive load on the engine because you would put the engine in a higher gear at a slower road speed, and the engine would see that as an interruption and a lug or a bog of the engine. So what we can do here is we can go first, third, fifth, eighth, you got it? Every other. And then we can make the gear ratios in a true, let's say 5-speed. In a true 5-speed, let's make them first, third, fifth, eighth, and 11th. Wow. Now, where do you get second and fourth and sixth and eighth? Well, the way you get that is you do first gear, and then you do first gear overdrive. And then you have third gear minus overdrive. And then you have fourth gear, which is third gear with overdrive. And then you have fifth gear, and fifth gear is minus overdrive. And sixth gear is, you got it, fifth gear with overdrive. Seventh gear would be no overdrive, and eighth gear would be seventh gear with overdrive. So you can go hop, skip, hop, skip, hop, skip, which is a nice, smooth transition and really allows the engine to stay right near about in its sweet spot so that it delivers the maximum torque, because engines have a certain RPM at which they deliver the maximum torque. And that's where you get the best gas mileage, and you get the best ride and the fewest emissions, and you still have the power. You have your cake and eat it too. It's really quite ingenious what manufacturers have done with cars. I think it is, just for me. I want to remind you, our partners, Bobby Likis Car Clinic, is brought to you in part by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And O'Reilly Auto Parts is proud to offer a military discount for those who've served in our country. If you're an active or retired member of the military or a veteran, stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store and receive your discount every day as their way of saying thank you for your service. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Your calls are important to me, and your wishes and your questions. I'd like to know what I can do to help you enjoy a safer car. I'd like to know and hear from you what questions you might have of me if you're thinking of trading your car, or maybe you want to spend some money and keep your car. Or let's just say that you've got a healthy car. There's nothing wrong with it. You've got 3 years You got 40,000 miles on a 3-year-old car, or 20,000 miles on a 3, or you have 6,000 miles on a 3-year-old car because you don't drive much. So you see, there's where that maintenance scheduling is ultra important, because if you drive a car less than 4,000 miles a year, do you need to change the oil in 6 months? Or do you need to wait for the 5,000 mile change? Well, wait a minute, that's 2.5 years. The answer is no. And you say, well, I understand that, but well, do you understand it? So just remember that the fewer miles you drive your engine, the less it will wear, you think, but the more damage is done to the engine, because cold starts without any oil, which is how all cars first crank. See, when you go to bed, your heart stays pumping. When you turn an engine off, the heart stops, because all things stop in the engine. And what is so unusual is that when you crank the engine up, the engine is actually running before the heart starts pumping. Really, it's just so strange. When I come back, we'll take a call from Jeff and your calls at 888-227-2546. Talking tunes? No, not the ones on your radio, the ones that allow you to reprogram your vehicle's factory computer without even popping the hood. The result is more power, more torque, and a better overall driving experience. We recently sat down with Jim McGinn, Vice President of Marketing for Power Tech. Jim touched on installation, noting if you can locate your diagnostic port and answer yes/no questions, you can tune your vehicle.
Any vehicle that has been produced after 1996 will have an onboard diagnostic port, the OBD2, and the Superchips Flash Pack, Trail Dash 2, Flash Cal, all plug into the diagnostic port. So simply put, if you can locate your vehicle's diagnostic port, answer yes and no questions, you can tune your vehicle, you can set advanced features and settings. It's as simple as connecting a smartphone to charge it. We make the power easy to deliver and seamless.
Folks, a performance programmer from Superchips is a perfect holiday gift. Learn more about the new Dash Pack Plus and other great products at superchips.com. That's superchips.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to Bobby Likis Car Clinic today. Remember, every Saturday from 10 to noon Eastern Time, we come to you, and I'm just your personal car consultant, and lots of experience, and I'll share with you information, and I don't have my hand in your pocket. I do have partners, I have sponsors, and I do recommend their services and their products because I use them in my shop. Otherwise, I do not I do not promote any other sponsor or any sponsor on air that I do not and have not used their product prior to that promotion. Just a little FYI. Let's go to Jeff in New York. Jeff, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, thanks for the call.
Sure, thank you. Appreciate it. What can I do for you?
You know, it was chilly up here the other day.
Yeah.
We had about -2.
Hello.
Yep. The Mercedes just didn't have the battery strength to crank.
Wow.
It was just too cold. But the old trusty 94 minivan, boom, fired right up.
Wow.
I love it. So here's my question for you, though. That little car, that van, when I start it and it's in neutral, and it's done this for, I don't know, 5 years or so that I've had it, there's a real distinct clacking. It sounds like it's from the transmission area. It never has caused any problem. It always runs and drives great. There's no problem. But that little sucker just clack, 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 clack. I just don't. It's a 5-speed.
Oh, okay.
And,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, good. Because I was when you said the clacking in neutral, I was thinking, well, if it's standard transmission. I mean, I didn't know when I thought of a minivan. I mean, I didn't. It's a 5-speed automatic, though, isn't it?
Nope, it's a 4-cylinder 5-speed.
Oh, 4-cylinder. Oh, okay. See, there's where we jumped to the conclusion, because I had a 96 Town and Country, and then 97, and then I traded it for a 2001 when they came out with the doors, and so automatically just immediately in my mind assumed automatic, but because it's standard, that is the engines. I know exactly what causes that. That's the gears that are clashing around in the transmission because of overrun. And here's what that means. If you spin a wheel, it starts off at a certain velocity, but then it slows down immediately. So your engine spins the input shaft with your clutch out. Now it doesn't make that noise if you got it in gear and a clutch in, but if you have the clutch out and it's in neutral, it makes that noise. Correct?
I think you're right.
You'll see that I am, because there's nothing turning in the transmission when the car is in gear and the clutch is disengaged. Okay, so we got the clutch in neutral. We got the clutch is engaged, which means you let out on a clutch, and the car's in neutral. Otherwise, you have to be going, and that's not when you have a problem. So when it's idling, the engine spins the input shaft, and the input shaft then, because it has fewer gears on the cluster gear. Have you ever seen the inside of a standard transmission? Okay, well the cluster gear is forced to turn, and then the cluster gear turns other gears, because they're all in mesh, not all, but most in mesh, and the only way they're connected is by or put into the final output is by the synchronizer. So, but anytime a transmission is turning, the gears are turning within the transmission, and they're different ratios, and they're different number of teeth, and so there's just some slack in the gears. You have to have running tolerances, and that slack with age is greater than it was when it was new, and so that that's quite normal for any standard transmission, and I'm surprised that people don't complain about that. But then again, most people aren't as attentive as you are. But the bottom line is that is normal. Now you'll notice that if you had, well, not that you may not notice at all, but if you were to use a heavier transmission gear oil, which I'm not recommending, that noise would tend to be less because there's more of a cushion between, like molasses. It would go because there's no real slack in between, because it's glued. The teeth are kind of glued together. You see where the picture that I'm painting?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Just a little residual friction there, holding everything kind of together.
Yeah, right. And so now see, transmission OEMs years ago they did this. In fact, the Dodge Hemi and the 440 six-pack and all those classic muscle cars, they came with a 4-speed transmission that weighed a ton. I know, I've lifted enough of them. And they, because of driver complaints, they switched from gear oil to automatic transmission fluid in their standard transmission.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time that I ever saw a standard transmission with automatic transmission fluid, I thought, you know, years and years ago, I thought, who did this? And then when I ran race cars, we always used automatic transmission fluid because there's less loss and parasitic draw. So if your transmission may well have, you know, a 50 or 60 weight gear oil, and a differential could have, you know, 140 gear oil, or your transmission, Jeff, because it's Chrysler, may well have automatic transmission fluid. That's what you should do. Look up in your owner's manual if you still have it, or you can look online, not what somebody says, but what the manufacturer says, and see what gear oil is in your standard transmission. You may be surprised that it's a very thin oil, or it would have, as we had years ago, driver complaints of hard to shift into one gear because it was like shifting molasses, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, hey, Bobby, that, surprisingly, and it surprised me too, out of the manual in that book, that transmission was made by New Process Gear out of Syracuse a long time ago.
Right.
And it takes 30-weight engine oil.
There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Isn't that, so it's amazing. So there's the answer. What a great experience. Hey, thanks for calling. And it was really great to share that information with listeners who might think something's wrong with their car, and they know it's not, because 5 years now, you've paid attention to this, and in 5 years it's no better or worse than it always was. So anyway, that's not an issue at all, and you're in good hands. You did a good job there.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you, sir. See you. Thanks. We'll take another call from New York, and your calls, folks, at 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. I was really surprised, I shouldn't be, that Jeff had the owner's manual, had that information while we were talking, Fabio, and he looked up, and it was the 30-weight engine oil that's in that transmission. Why would they do that? Well, because of it's less friction, and it gets better gas mileage, but mainly so that people won't complain about how hard it is to shift their transmission in cold weather. John, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby.
Morning, sir.
I'm starting to laugh already because I'm going to talk to you about that 09 Caliber I have with the CVT transmission.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm an open book here. I'm not going to say that that's not one of my favorites because you know, you've heard me say already. Okay, I'm going to turn the mic to you, so it's your turn.
I still have it because no one will buy it, so whatever.
Well, at least, you know, one thing's for sure, it doesn't have 30-weight gear oil and transmission or engine oil. It has its own little place in life, its special formula for that CVT transmission. And you know, I did 180 degree on that transmission. I think you may have heard me before. Years ago, that was a transmission created in the UK by, it was a man, M-A-N, as I remember. I need to verify that, but it doesn't matter. It was years ago, and I just thought it would be phenomenal to have a zipper transmission, meaning that you can position that transmission, it's like a zipper versus a button. You could zipper that transmission up and zip your shirt up to any degree or lesser that you wanted, just like a transmission that you didn't have any gears, so you could have infinite ratios. And that's what I thought was great about that transmission. As it turns out, didn't really work that way. It doesn't really work that way. But anyway, back to you. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the concept sounded great.
Yeah, really. I called Don Gartlitz, and a friend of mine made bodies for Don Gartlitz. He made magnesium bodies for Don Gartlitz's dragster. And Don actually, a little trivia here. I'll toss this out, then I'm going to go back to you, John. Why did Don Gartlitz, who was the king of rear engine dragsters, because he created the rear engine dragster when he blew his foot off, sitting behind a motor with a transmission his feet wrapped around the transmission. So he said, we need to put all these explosive devices, transmissions and motors and superchargers behind the driver. So he invented the rear engine dragster. He also was the first to put a body on his car, and everyone thought it was for aerodynamics. His little dragster rail job. He got a little miniature body that's shaped like a bullet, like a dart, because that's what it is. The dart through the air, air resistance slows the cars down at that top end. So why did Don Gartless put a body on the car? I'll just leave that out there for another 5 minutes or so. If you think you know, I would give you a Car Clinic gift pack. Better than that, for the person who understands and knows why Don Gartless did that, I'll give him a $100 bill. Or
why he put the body on the front of it, or
why
the nose cone,
why he
or around?
Why he put the body around the rail?
Around himself.
Well, I mean, why he did that? So that's the question.
Aerodynamics, I guess.
That would be the wrong answer, but that certainly was a benefit, but it wasn't the reason. But anyway, let's get back, and I'll just toss that out there. So, folks, you got a chance to win $100 here, because this is, and I'm privy to the information because my friend built the bodies for him, and so that was the only reason that I knew why he did that. But John, let's talk about your Dodge Caliber. What are you going to do with the car?
Real quick on the swamp rat because of advertisement.
Right. Oh,
That's why he put the body in there.
No, wasn't that at all. Hey, you stay tuned, because at the end of the program, I'm going to share with everyone why Don Gartless did that. And I dare say there probably are less than 100 people in the United States that would know this, that were in that place at that time to understand and learn why he did that and why he ran faster when he did that. It's really kind of cool. And it's really way out there. But anyway, so you're gonna keep the Caliber, right?
I have no choice. I'm using it as a case study experiment.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
I can't sell it.
No, you can't.
Whatever.
So are you dogging it, or are you taking decent care of it?
Oh no, it's all great. I just started it up yesterday. The engines run good in them. I don't know.
Okay.
4-cylinder. 2 or 2.4.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, hey, it's great to talk with you, John, and hope you had a great holiday, and stay warm, as warm as can be there in New York. And thanks always for calling. Appreciate and love hearing from you, man. Good luck on your Dodge. You may as well enjoy it. It's yours. It's paid for, and it's not going anywhere. Literally.
You want me to finish Can I finish the story real quick?
Okay, quickly, yes, sir.
All right, I changed the fluid in it. That helped. As you know, Chrysler doesn't even want you to look at that transmission.
That's right.
They don't want you checking the fluid. They don't want you changing the fluid. Nothing. But I've worked on cars like people since I was a kid, 50 years now.
Okay.
So do it. Just make sure you put the same amount in. That they have this temperature range and all this BS. And
yep.
So try that. If anybody's out there, might give them some hope. Don't be afraid to do it because Chrysler wants a ridiculous amount to do it.
I'm with you.
I'll leave it at that. And,
okay.
I hope you had a nice Thanksgiving, too.
Thank you, John. Appreciate you. Let's go to Joan. Joan, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hello.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hi, Bobby.
Hi, Joan.
Listen to you all the time. I've been going to call you, and I finally got your number.
Okay.
Anyway, this is a stupid question I'm not afraid to ask. Anyway, I have an 05 Avail.
Okay.
And it's been a great car.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it has the manual, but the manual doesn't tell me anything except something about shifting. And it's the hold mode.
Okay, the hold mode is a hill hold. So you drive up to, or you pull up to a traffic light, and you put it in gear with your foot on the clutch. Or if it's an automatic transmission, the hold is a push button that holds the brake so that the car doesn't roll backwards on you while you're trying to drive the car off. So that's the whole mode, so that's what that's for. And I don't mean to cut you off, Joan.
Okay. It's an automatic transmission.
Right, but it still has whole mode in the braking system. And with that, I'm sorry, but I'm out of time, and I've promised the folks I'm going to tell them the answer to this trivia. Would you please call me again next week, and let's discuss this further, okay?
Sure.
Okay, Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you. So, folks, the rear engine dragsters run nitromethane. Nitromethane has a 1.5 to 1 fuel ratio as compared to 14.9 to 1 with gasoline. So they being the drag racers, hydrolock that engine. The engine couldn't run faster because it couldn't get enough fuel. So Don Garlish put a 2-inch feed pipe into the fuel pump, and in doing so, he had to hide the pipe, and that's where the body came from. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
When it comes to vehicle safety, having poor visibility is a risk not worth taking. Get set for this fall's weather by visiting your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store during the See Better, Drive Safer sale. You'll find deals on name brand headlights, wiper blades, and everything you need to see better and drive safer. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Motorrad, a longtime OE supplier, is the leader in automotive thermostats and fuel and oil coolant caps. Motorrad's state-of-the-art quality control and functional testing systems ensure high-quality, long-lasting products. Motorrad delivers world-class product development, providing all the parts and accessories needed to do the job right the first time, every time. Motorrad offers the best coverage of thermostats and closure caps in the world for virtually any vehicle and engine on or off the road. Motorrad, leading the way in coverage and service.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, loaded, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, starts my morning, happy morning. Your name is Folgers Mountain Grow, now you're here.